This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Movement Mastermind. I'm Shira Lotzar, happy to be your host today, joined by Vern Schellinger, my partner in not crime, but in purpose. How about that? Partner in purpose. That's right. Delighted to have you all here, and of course, we're going to go around the room and entertain questions. Actually, we'll start with Dan. Dan has been fortunate enough to receive a couple of offers this week, and he's noodling, and it sounds like there's another development. So, Dan, what can we do for you?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you and Vern, and as Sharon knows, Vern knows as well, I've been with this group on and off for a long time, and you both have been immensely helpful throughout the process. I just wanted to thank you for everything, which has been great. So a couple offers, and I had closed a business yesterday to let one of them know that I was leaning towards, which I did. Negotiations weren't successful, but at least I tried in terms of benefit improvement. The one thing which I was worried about this particular opportunity was that on Glassdoor there are a bunch of pretty negative reviews, and I recognize that. I think that because of the nature of the site, what kind of site it is, it's going to be more likely to draw the people who are more likely to write reviews are going to be those who are disgruntled. So I get that. It probably skews a little bit negative, but still, given the number of reviews that were sort of saying the same thing, it was a little bit concerning. And so last night, after I'd accepted the offer, I wound up talking to somebody who's still there, had a long conversation with her, and she basically confirmed everything in the reviews. She repeatedly used the word toxic in terms of the work environment, the culture, in particular, the leadership, really, really, really negative about this leadership. So my question is, I guess, I had these two other interviews going on this week as well, which I basically had to take myself out of consideration because in addition to the other offer, I had these two other interviews going on which I took myself out of consideration for, one of which I had been a finalist for last year, several months ago. And it was in the early stages of this process, and they wouldn't expedite it for me this time around. But given the fact that this latest process is projected to go to March at the earliest, can I ask them, just to keep my options open, can I ask them to again take me back under consideration and just see how things go over the next 2 or 3 months, since the interview process is going to take a while to play out? Or is that taboo? Have I committed myself at this point? And I'm just worried, given the consistent nature of the pretty harsh.
You have formally accepted the offer, correct?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. Like verbally, even did you sign something as well? I
signed a letter, and yeah.
It's official. It's official. Yeah. This is tricky. This is really tricky. My 2 cents. I'd love to hear from Vern, Sonia, and Kimberly on this, since we're the representative HR people on the call. Is that you actually address it? Okay. I actually would address. You say you've accepted the offer, and the fact that you're even considering pulling out is grounds enough to me for you to share your.
Probably not pulling out right now. I wanted to give it a chance, because it could be my experience. She did, on the positive side, she said, the people are great, motivated, smart, passionate, which I love. Okay. There's a supportive environment among the lower level staff. Okay. So she did have some positive things to say as well. But again, she said from January of 2020 to now, apparently there have been 46 people, or 32%. She gave specific numbers of the staff had left since January of 2020. So turnover is very, very high.
Because of the senior leadership?
I mean, there's probably different reasons, but certainly it seems to be certainly a major cause. Yeah.
Okay, because I was
Sounds
going to
like
say that there's been a lot of turnover since the pandemic, especially in this last year. In fact, the Great Resignation is part of that. People are leaving for all.
I asked about that, and she said maybe a couple of people have been fired for cause or whatever, but that's the reason the reason the senior leadership sort of is sort of using the Great Resignation as an excuse. But according to this woman, really that's not it's a bad leadership environment there.
Do you know, I don't mean to spend all of our time on this, but do you know why? Did she specifically say what it was that made it not?
Again, the president has just apparently created creates a culture of fear. Again, this is a nonprofit, and she doesn't take criticism well. She doesn't take dissent well. She doesn't take a lot of things along those lines. The culture of fear and retribution if you happen to challenge her in any way, apparently. I mean, really some pretty harsh and unattractive things.
Okay, is your person the HR person? Is that your point of contact?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
She's relatively new too, actually. She's a recruiter for them. In-house recruiter.
She's not an HR. She's not like head of HR or something. She's just like a recruiter
for them. She's an in-house recruiter.
Yeah. She's in-house recruiter. I'd still mention it because this is a concern. I would actually say, look, I know I've accepted this offer and, I'm excited about the role. I will tell you that I have been, I looked on Glassdoor and I actually talked to somebody, of course, nameless, in the organization who gave me some very pointed feedback. This is what I heard. Recruiter, can you address this? I am very concerned now, as you might imagine, given that I'm about to start this new job. And I heard this feedback that is making me quite hesitant about onboarding. Can you address this for me? And see what she says, see if is that under certain circumstances that this person is this way? Have there been people who've been successful, who've been able to navigate it? I know the recruiter's new, but I'd address it because this is their opportunity to onboard you. That's literally, this is actually, as of this moment, you are officially in the onboarding process. You've been recruited. Onboarding is the next stage. And now you're in it. And I would address it. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. That's my opinion. Sonia, Kimberly, Vern, do you have other opinions on that?
One of the things, whenever these really, really difficult situations come up, at the end of the day, I basically believe that you have to do what's in the best interest of you. Yeah. Okay. And that can be really difficult. Dan, I know how long you've been in the job search. Now you got an offer. You want to go back to work. Right. And so, yeah, you and I agree with Shira, address it. And so maybe you take the job, but 2 or 3 months down the road, you're going to say, oh my God, all of this has come true. Now what do I do? At any one of those steps, what's in your best interest? And so that's kind of I've always thought of it that way.
So would it be inappropriate in that light? Would it be inappropriate for me to, again, plan on proceeding near term with starting up with these guys, see how things go, but with this one interview that's going to take till March at the earliest, try to see if they'll take me back under consideration, let things play out there, and then again, ultimately I might not get an offer from that process, but still at least to keep that option alive.
I would it ethically, seriously. I mean, even though everybody's at will, excuse me, ethically, it would not be appropriate to continue with that interview process behind their back at this point. I really do. I mean, you haven't even started the job. You need to give it a chance. It's the same equivalent as you wouldn't want them interviewing candidates after they've made you an offer. It's the same kind of a thing. Okay. That said, you are being, by sharing with them your concern, you're being transparent. That is very ethical. That is saying, look, I got to tell you, I haven't even started and I have a hesitation here. And I want to make you aware of this. I want to partner with you on this. I want to see what your thoughts are on this. Then frankly, if you do end up leaving, they'll know why. Like it's full disclosure. you are being honest about it. You're not going behind their back. You are just going straight into the wind and seeing if there's maybe something that could be done for you to mitigate it. Because you know what, Dan, it may be that there are people who have successfully worked with these folks, right? With the senior leadership team. Maybe there's a way to partner with them well. I mean, look, not everybody's turned over in the last year, right? Even though 32% is a lot, there could be some strategies that maybe you could employ to, if you will, be the neck that turns the head, like to kind of manage up. That's my opinion. Sonia and Kimberly?
I do have an opinion on that. First of all, I tell everybody before you make the offer, check out everything. Those are the type of questions you ask in the interview. When you see the Glassdoor, Indeed, all the people that give comments, when you see it and it looks negative, you talk about that in the interview. Don't ignore it. See what's going on. When you make the offer, when you get the offer, I wouldn't say stop interviewing because you haven't accepted the offer. And I would take it to the last day that I could. I'm just going to give you the reality of the situation. Shira is right about the ethics. She is spot on. But the reality of the situation is that candidates do pull back at the last minute. I remember I hired an SVP and he accepted, sent the letter, everything. I ordered business cards for him. I was waiting, so excited. And he didn't show up because he wouldn't leave his previous company. He decided to stay. Yes, that put us at a terrible situation, but we accepted it. I will say 3 to 6 months later, he was back and we did hire him and he stayed with us. He was great. So it's like what Vern said, you got to do what's best for you and your family. The worst thing to do is to start a job and get in there and on your first day, you're like, oh my goodness, I made a mistake. That's the worst thing you can do, but it does happen. So you got to think about it. What's best for you, what's best for your family, and go with your gut, because your gut will not lead you astray. I had a manager a long time ago tell me that, Sonia, obey your gut. And I have done that. Your gut is your conscience, just in case you didn't know what I meant by that. It's your conscience. And and that way it won't lead you astray. It normally don't. Kimberly?
Okay. Thank you. I mean, the last question, and I feel badly for having taken so much time, so I'll shut up after this, but I guess my only concern, Shira, with, mentioning this, going directly to the recruiter and saying some things, is that if she turns around and, conveys that feedback with leadership, I don't want that to reverberate down on my contact and get that person. Again, it sounds like it's a really kind of nasty.
Well, first of all, you would not be mentioning, you would not be naming
I
names.
wouldn't, I certainly wouldn't, but who knows how they conceivably, it doesn't seem like they'd be able to.
And you don't even have to, you could even just say the Glassdoor reviews. I mean, that's enough, right? Because that's public. That's public.
Yeah.
And you can
Thank
say,
you.
look, and you can say, I should have, own it. I should have brought this up before I accepted the offer. But I will tell you now that I've been thinking about it, I just want to be transparent. I'm left with some concerns and I wanted to address them to see, is there a way that I could, that people have successfully navigated the senior leadership team. In fact, somebody, I think it was Ty in the chat box, said, how much involvement do you have with in your role? How much involvement would you have with the top executives? Do you report to them, or is there something?
I probably wouldn't, although, and they asked about the person I directly report to, and she said that he's been there for a long time, which I knew, and this is my contact said this about the guy I directly report to, who I would interact with regularly, who's a very, very nice guy, but apparently he's very spineless,
Oh,
and he won't have your back,
oh,
and he won't stick up for you. So she emphasized how nice he was, and she emphasized that he was very spineless.
yeah.
So that again wasn't.
So at the end of the day, so Dan, there's so many ways to look at this. Of course, we're not going to ever tell you what to do. Of course not. We're just giving you information. One thing to consider, and I don't mean to be glib when I say this, so don't hear it that way. There is no such thing as a perfect organization. Okay. People are people. No matter where you go, you're going to have the ones, the twos, the threes, it ain't no such thing. Right. In fact, it's kind of like if it was a perfect organization, the second that we show up, it's an imperfect organization, right? Because we're not perfect either. And so part of this is about our learning journey. Right. And how are we going to navigate that? Are we going to learn from it? Are we going to be a positive influence on the culture? Are we going to grow in our leadership skills and all of that? So no matter where you go, and Dan, you know the nonprofit world, some of us on this call do. Look, there's a lot of inherent challenges because it's a nonprofit, right? The pressures, and especially the kind of group you're talking about, because I know of course, you've told me who they are offline. I don't know anything about them per se, but the kind of organization they are, I can imagine right now they're convulsing, right? I mean, sure, donors are, are stressed and all of this, and maybe that's part of what's going on. I don't know, but all I can tell you is there is no such thing as a perfect culture. So could it be a learning opportunity? Yes. On the other hand, could it be that the other group that you've mentioned is a better fit? Potentially. But these are things that you've got to weigh. Kimberly, I think you may have wanted to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I think that you all covered it very well.
Okay.
Vern made a very good point. Dan, at the end of the day, it's really what's going to be best for you, what's going to be best for your family, what you feel comfortable with. If you have that much hesitation, take a step back. And Shira made a good point. This could be a learning experience, but at the end of the day, we can't tell you what to do. Discuss it with your family, pray about it, and go from there.
Yep.
And the other thing to do, Dan, is, you take the job and you do the very best job you can for 3 to 6 months. And then you'll really know.
Right.
Trust me, you'll really know after 3 to 6 months.
Right.
And obviously your job search efforts won't be that old. You rekindle them and you
Right.
try to stay with that company as long as you can and collect the paycheck until you can find the next best opportunity.
It happens. And it happens on their side too, right? Sometimes people make the wrong hire and then they have to go and look for, so it's the same thing. It's not, to everybody's point here. Yes, you do need to do what you got to do. I was just making the point of, you've accepted the offer. So right this minute, continuing with the interview process feels a little bit to me, right? But then again, remember, I'm a recruiter. Hello, like that's my lens. Okay, I feel the pain on the other side. They've rejected all the other candidates in favor of you. But I do understand. We all appreciate your quandary here. So there is no one perfect way to go about it. We just wanted to give you lots of opinions so you can make a good decision.
Thank you to everybody. That was really helpful, and I'm sorry for having taken up so much of the time, but that was great. So that was helpful. I will stay tuned.
Yeah. Good. All right. Other questions from the peanut gallery?
So I have a quick. I'm sorry, Tammy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Kim.
Go, Tammy. That's okay. You can go. Or whoever.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Kimberly. I have a question. I'm actually employed and I've been with my company for 6 months. And although I like the company, the job I accepted is not currently the job I have. And there've been some other things that have been corporate wide, like title changes and some other things. And I sense, given that we are moving into like the performance evaluation and bonus season, it'll happen next month, that there's going to be a lot of outflow from my company. And I should mention too, that most of our senior management is in New York City, and New York City just instituted a, you have to be vaccinated in order to come into the office. And that covers the public sector as well. So I'm looking for some tips to to get another job internally.
Tips to get another job. Okay, so meaning because you don't want to move to New York?
No. I'm in New York actually, so I'm fine in that respect. I
Oh.
just think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity in my company
Oh.
in other lines of business,
Okay,
and I'm looking for tips on how to sort of
be prepared for that. Okay,
leverage
so
those opportunities.
right. Well, other than the obvious, making sure that as soon as a job posting comes open internally, you're on it, right? You just make sure that that you're regularly checking the. I guess do you guys have an intranet?
We do.
Okay, so every day check that. That's the logistical side of it, but the relational side of it is you want to be building as many cross-functional relationships as possible. You want to be making friends with all these people in other departments. You want to be contributing, adding value, maybe teaming up with other people, raising your hand for special projects. You need to be noticed. And that's just sort of in general, not just for your specific situation right now, but the more visible you can be with other departments, the more likely it is when somebody in that department has an opening, they're like, I worked with Tammy on this. She was really great. Maybe she's somebody that we could consider. She seemed to have a superpower in this and that and the other, especially when it's the head of the department that knows you, because those are the people who typically make those decisions. They're the ones sitting in those meetings, right? Those strategy meetings saying, oh, wow, we just lost somebody. What do we do? Da, da, da. They're in the position to look across and see where the talent is. So especially if you can make yourself visible to those people, that would be pretty helpful. Sonia, Kimberly, or Vern, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is your internal network. There's the people you work with, and then there's the larger organization. And the more relationships you can build with people throughout the organization to get to know you. And also, if you're, ask the right questions, experience your thought, the way you think, the way you problem solve. An example might be there's a big project in marketing or finance, and somebody in one of those groups, and you just say to them, I'd like to learn more about that project. Can we have lunch or can we have coffee? And then do your research and be prepared to ask them questions. And through that dialogue, as you're asking questions and they're answering, you may come up with another question, or you may actually come up with a suggestion. Have you thought about this? And they'll go, wow, no, we didn't think about this. This could really work in this project. And now it's more than just Tammy. It's Tammy's bright, Tammy's smart, Tammy's got good ideas. And to Shira's point, then when an opportunity comes up internally, you'll be in a better position to be considered for it.
And the part I want to hear, did I hear you right, Tammy? You say you've been there 6 months?
Right.
Okay, make sure that the policy will allow you to transfer.
Good point.
Because
Good point.
A lot of times when they won't allow you to transfer that early.
It's true. Usually after a year.
It's a year. Yeah, usually it's a year.
Honestly, I think there's going to be such an influx of people going out that they're gonna waive some of those. And to your point before about I've been doing that in terms of establishing my internal network with people that I've been working with. But I think I have to kick it up a notch in the sense of identifying the lines of or the other business units that I'm interested in, and sort of looking for potential hiring managers, so boss hunting kind of in those other business units and sort of getting on their radar before that person leaves, that would be an ideal opportunity.
Getting on their radar, and again, raising your hand for projects on their team to the extent that you can, which of course means you need to know them, right? Maybe there's a way you can sit down on a meeting or two, or just talk, even talking to somebody who, people who work for that hiring manager to kind of get sort of rank and file projects and kind of see what's happening. And maybe once you hear about that, you can go to the hiring manager and say, look, I understand your team is working on X project. I have a superpower in Y. would be happy to raise my hand to help you, that kind of thing.
Right. And so, there's a couple of affiliation groups that I've joined, and that's another way that I'm trying to sort of network and sort of get on the radar and do things like that. And so, there's a little bit of delay because, people have to leave, on their own volition for those opportunities to sort of open up. But I'm kind of wanting to get on the radar before they're even posted,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
makes sense.
strategy.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's a really good idea. Go ahead and start to build the rapport,
Yep.
build those relationships so that they know you, they know what you can bring to the table. But to Sonia's point, and I think even Tammy, what you're saying, there's going to be kind of, some opportunity there. I would still just make sure that check the policy as far as how long you have to be with the company, because some companies, no matter what's going on, they're sticklers about that, about being in for a year with the company before you can transfer. Also making sure that the department that you're in approve that you are eligible to transfer.
right. They'll
The
release you.
company the company I was with, we had a situation like that where a hiring manager, and he was a VP, he just took it upon himself to kind of recruit this person out of another department and kind of said, I'm going to do this. And it just left a very bad taste in everyone's mouth. There were some lifts there for a while. They worked through them, but it was really very tense for a while. So just be mindful of that, even though you said, there's going to be some opportunities, still just make sure you're clear about what the policy is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. All right. Other questions? So Kimberly, you had a question as well.
Yeah, I did. For the recruiters and HR people, I had 2 interviews before the holidays. Both went very well. In one interview, I interviewed with the VP. And he told me point blank, he said, you're one of the first people I'm interviewing. He said, but your resume was great. There's very close correlation to what you were doing with what is required in this position. They had some major events coming up. So, he was just very open and honest. He said, so the process is going to take a while. And I guess my question is, how long, I don't want to be a stalker, but how much, and I've already reached out, of course, I reached out same day with the thank you email.
Right.
I've sent another email since, just following up, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and
Sure.
and
Right.
there's been
So rule of thumb.
silence.
Yeah. Rule of thumb is recruiters. I'm going to make an equivocal statement here. Ready? Like this is just the way that it is. Recruiters assume that you are interested and still a viable candidate unless they hear otherwise.
Okay.
They assume you're waiting by, I'm not kidding you. They assume you're waiting by the phone, meaning there is no need for you to follow up or do all that stuff. Now, if you want to follow up by saying, I don't know, maybe there's a resource you want to share. Hey, I found this article on such and such, or hey, I had an idea for you. You were thinking about the opportunity. Fine, go for it. But we frequently get this question, oh, how often should I follow up with the recruiter? There is no need for you to do that, because that's really just your anxiety showing up, right? Like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? They're on to others, like they're doing their thing. You are on their little spreadsheet or in their database, and they know where you rank and kind of how things are. If you are the one, they will find you, they will hunt you down, they will send a carrier pigeon to your home, okay? They will find you if you are the one that they want. There's no need per se. Now, if a month goes by, and you want to do a very quick check-in, you could do that if you like. They may or may not respond. I mean, hopefully they will. Hopefully they're just responsive people. You could just say, I want to reiterate my interest. That's fine. You can just sort of raise yourself back to the top of the pile. But at the end of the day, they're going to go through their process. They're going to narrow things down. They're going to do what they do. Hopefully, you'll continue to move on, but I just don't feel like you need to, keep checking in on any regular basis.
And I think I knew that. I just needed to hear it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it gets you get kind of like, and one of them, it wasn't a recruiter. I mean, I interviewed with the VP. The other one was a recruiter, and in both cases, very positive. So I will just calm
yeah, just
myself
pack your,
down
pack,
and-
I always say, pack your patience with these things. You know, look, I will tell you for myself, because I'm one of those people that I try to manage the expectations of my candidates. So I'll say to them something like, you know, look, we're going through this process, another 3 weeks, or like anticipate. Now, if I have some candidates that, well, first of all, if I have people that I really don't think are a fit, I mean, I try to let them down pretty quickly. I try not to do the back burner thing, but that
Sure.
happens. A lot of employers that don't do that, they'll just keep stringing people along and because they want their options open. But especially if I have some candidates that I'm really particularly interested in, and I see that the process is being delayed more than what I had shared, then I will often pick up the phone and say, hey, Susie, just letting you know, I know it was going to be, I said 3 weeks, but you know what, there's been a delay. That's just me. And maybe that's just because I'm a boutique firm and I have the bandwidth to do that. I'm not juggling 30 open recs on my
Right.
desk. Okay. I'm not a crazed corporate recruiter. I mean, God bless them. I don't know how they do that job. I could never do it. You know, being pulled by all the hiring managers and right. And they have no time to follow up with all the candidates that are in the wings. Okay. Like maybe I would. So I would just say to you, pack your patience. A month goes by, you want to check in, that's fine, but just a light touch. No need to over follow up.
Okay.
But Kimberly, you said the original interview was before the holidays. So, you know, December 15th or something like that. And now it's a month.
Well, it's sort of a month, because remember those
Sort
last
of.
2 weeks of the month of last December were kind of
Yeah.
vacation-y,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'd hold on for a while. And by the way, if you do, Eric, I see your hand, thanks. If you do have something else, another opportunity that comes up, and it is, and you're moving along with it, and this company is still your first choice, that's a really good reason to follow up. I mean, for their sake too, for both of your sakes, to say, hey, look, I'm pending with something. It's moving along pretty quickly. You're my first choice. I wanted to see where you are in the process, if I should be pursuing this other opportunity, or whether you could expedite your process. I wanted to give you first right of refusal. That actually is very helpful for them, I will tell you, because they're like, oh, wait, wow, we don't want to lose Kimberly. Oh, okay. And then they start scrambling if you are, you know, one of their top choices.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Sil. Eric first and then Sil.
Yeah, I was recently rejected after getting to like a final round interview. But I was wondering, how can you go about writing I hear you're supposed to write a thank you note even though you're rejected.
Yes.
Writing a normal thank you note seems hard enough. How can you write, say, thank you for not choosing me? What?
No. It's very simple and it's very short. Dear so-and-so, thank you for considering me for the X opportunity. While I was disappointed at not being selected, I certainly respect your process and would hope to be considered for other opportunities, period. Sincerely, Eric. That's it. Very simple. Is that helpful?
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go to Indeed, you can go, there's templates out there. And those templates are right along the lines of what Sheila just said.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe you Google like thank you note after being rejected for the job, something like that.
Yeah, because sometimes people don't even make it through their probationary period, you know, or they decide to quit, you know, you never know what'll happen. But I was going to say to Kimberly, yeah, Shira told me the same thing when I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 months. I haven't heard from this job and I really, really want it, you know, and so eventually they hired me. So yeah, I guess it just takes time on their end to get
That's
stuff
right.
done.
Things take so much, like 4 times longer than you think they will, really, because they have good intentions, right? But stuff happens, process gets extended, new candidates come in play, hiring managers make different decisions. I mean, especially this holiday period. I mean, that's a whole other thing. For all we know, they could have had the whole process delayed for those last 2 weeks of December. In fact, it's very likely because a lot of people I knew took those 2 weeks off completely. So just for what it's worth.
Or the recruiter could have got sick.
You never know. Yeah,
Right.
especially right now.
Think about that. How many people are, you know,
Yep.
getting sick or aren't able to do their work, whether it's the hiring manager
Right.
with, you know, the decision maker or the
Whole other
recruiter.
dynamic. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Patience. Sonia? Oh, wait, no, Sonia, were you just commenting on this or did you have a question? Because
I had a question.
okay, so if you can press pause real quick.
Okay.
Sil, I think you were next on the questioning. Sil, did you have a question or was that just were you just making a comment?
Oh, I was just making a comment.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you had a question. Sonia?
Okay, I had a interesting situation this week. Last week I interviewed for a global HR leadership position. It went well. And then I immediately got the interview for the next step with the hiring manager and someone else. And I was pretty excited about it. And on Tuesday of this week, it was already set up, you know, it was virtual Teams and all of that. And I got a email saying cancel, no explanation, nothing, just cancel. I felt like that was so rude, but it does happen. There's been so much that's been going on the talent acquisition side since I've been in the market that every day I get surprised. But the first thing came to my mind was, okay, they found what they wanted. But even if that's the case, you owe me a call. You had a second interview with me scheduled.
Right.
You should go forth with it.
Yeah.
And I reached out to the organization that connected us to the recruiter and told her what happened. And I'm waiting now to hear back. What's the status?
Yeah.
And like I say, I'm just amazed that all I got was the cancellation on my calendar saying interview canceled. That's it. And I'm like, you start wondering, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I was waiting.
Unless something just changed on their end. Maybe
Yeah.
they could have stopped to the search. I mean, anything's possible. When you know
And
that,
that's fine. That's fine.
but as
But when
explanation, yeah.
when you set something up with someone, you follow through. Don't just
Absolutely.
leave them swinging in the wind,
Absolutely. By the way,
wondering.
you mean when you say canceled, you mean you got that Outlook invitation canceled thing?
Yes.
That's what you mean.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I got. No, and see, I didn't even respond because I thought I would get a follow-up saying,
Yeah.
you know, we found, or the job was.
So you wrote and said, I received this cancellation, and
I wrote it to the recruiter. I said, you know, can you find out what the status of the position is? Because I got to cancel. I was supposed to meet with them today, and it's gone. And I'm fine with that.
That could be, literally, it could be a scheduling glitch. It could be, you know, maybe there was an assistant involved and something was being juggled around. Maybe they mistakenly canceled. I mean, anything's possible that way. You know what I would do? I don't know. Maybe I was just gonna say, well, I guess it's off your calendar, right? You don't still have a Zoom link for them?
Right, it's off, yeah.
It's off, okay, fine. Well, see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just,
if they want to if it's an error, well, we're gonna have to reschedule because I'm busy at that time today.
Yeah, sure.
But I was just amazed that they would cancel an interview just like that with no explanation. And it's the second interview. I was with the hiring manager. I don't understand that, but that's what we go through.
Go report back to us. Tell us what happened. That'll be an
I will. As soon as I get the word, I will do it. But I just wanted to share that because it could happen to anybody. And I know, like I said, I'm in the business, so I don't respond the way, you know, someone that's not in HR would do. I just follow up and say, okay, what happened? You owe me an explanation. Yeah. And so that's where I am with it. I'm going to wait for the staffing firm to contact me and let me know what's going on.
Okay.
Because like I say, if it had been the first interview, I would understand, but was the second with the hiring manager. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, the saga continues.
All right. Thanks for keeping us posted. Nice to see you, Joe. Welcome back.
Hi, yes, I'm sorry for popping in so late, but I just realized that, since this is a networking group for jobs, we have a number of jobs that we're trying to fill. So,
Oh, Joe, you've landed. Where are you?
oh,
Sorry, we didn't.
sorry.
By the way, before I should introduce Joe. I'm so sorry. For those of you who've never met Joe before, Joe has been one of our longtime experts, like myself and Vern. She comes when she's able to, and she's a senior level HR executive, and I guess recently landed again.
September.
Oh, good. Didn't realize that. Good.
Yep. So I'm serving now as the global head of people and talent at Clements Worldwide.
Okay, fantastic.
And we have a number of roles to fill. So I thought I should at least come in, share what all the roles are, so that if anybody, would like to discuss it, just connect with me on LinkedIn. But we are looking for a claims concierge. It's someone who, manages claims, for like insurance. And then also
Hi, you need to follow up with Joe.
Account manager positions, account executive positions. We have, we need a temporary, interim position for someone to help us with our website integration. So somebody with WordPress experience would be great. We are also looking for a manager of infrastructure support. So like obviously networking, Network Plus and those kinds of certifications will be helpful. We are also looking for it's a kind of a interesting title, but it is for, in fact, I don't understand why do we not have it posted anymore. But oh yes, we have a learning and development associate. So if you've done training and development, that would be great. And also we're looking for someone who does insurance compliance, for risk management. So if you have any of those, areas of expertise or skills or know people who do, please let me know. We also have external referral fees, that we provide. They're very small, but at least, if you refer somebody and they are hired and they're there 90 days later, then, we just send you a thank you.
And Joe, just to clarify, that learning development is associate, meaning it's a low-level position, correct?
It's not what I would necessarily call low level. It's definitely not entry level. It's somewhere, the word associate in our company kind of is almost equivalent to the word specialist.
Okay, but it's not a leader level for sure.
Yeah.
Right, because we have a manager.
Okay.
Right.
Joe, can you share in the chat, website or something?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Website and your email, so folks can follow up with you.
Will do.
Yeah.
Actually, if you send me an email, I hate to say this, but I actually am about 1,200 unread emails right now. They come in at the rate of about 20 per hour, and I am in back-to-back meetings all day, every day. So that would not be the best thing to do, but connecting with me on LinkedIn is easier because then I do that from my phone and it's much less traffic there. So let me see, here we go. So I will send you the link to the open jobs, and then the couple of ones that I just spoke about, we just got wind of, so they're not posted yet. And then I guess I should probably find my LinkedIn profile so you can connect with me there, and connect with me there anyway, just from the standpoint that, let me know what you're looking for. And if there's something that, somebody I know who might be looking, I'm happy to help with that as well. Okay, let me just see, where is the Zoom? Okay, so chat, where did the chat go? Chat, here we go. So now here is the, here's my LinkedIn profile. So I'm happy for you to join me there. So
Great. Joe, are you able to stay on for our rest of our call, or did you need to bounce off for another meeting?
I can stay, you're
Okay.
on until 10:15, right?
Yeah, at least.
Yes, I can stay here until then. Yeah.
Okay. So did anybody have any other burning questions? There is something that I wanted to get from all of you, but I wanted to make sure we get questions answered first.
I just had a quick comment for Sonia. Sonia, I had the same thing happen to me.
Oh my goodness.
And this was before I got laid off. I had started my job search before I was laid off. And I actually it was a no-show. I interviewed with the recruiter, went very well. She set up a Zoom with the hiring manager, and he just did not show. So I called the recruiter. She apologized profusely and just said, hold on, let me see what's going on. She called me back. She's like, can we reschedule?
Right.
And she said, I apologize. She said he had an emergency, came up work related. Okay, fine.
Right. Yeah.
Set it for the next week. He no showed again.
Oh,
So I was done. You know, the recruiter was so kind. She was embarrassed the whole nine. She reached out to me a week later and told me that the position was on hold.
yeah, right. Sure.
But I'm just like, seriously?
Right.
That was ridiculous. Yeah. And I did, and then I had another one where they canceled, but it was a scheduling conflict, but they canceled and then they emailed me and said we had a scheduling conflict and gave me some more options. So that was fine. But that other one, it was a no-show. I was so done with those people.
That's
So
what,
I'm not surprised at anything anymore, to be
yeah,
honest.
me either. I've seen stuff that, like I say, every day is an adventure.
That's why I say the job search process is an emotional roller coaster.
Yep.
Ups and downs,
Yep.
every step of the way.
Yep.
Clearly some ups, you know, when you get to the interview and second interview and third interview and then things gets canceled, right? That's what's up with that, right?
So what I'd like to do with everyone's permission, unless is there another burning question that someone wants to ask? Okay, so I want to do something a little different today. So I think a lot of you know that in my world, in my business, I'm a recruiter, I'm a career coach, executive coach. I do all kinds of things with job seekers and employers. So I frequently get asked to speak on different platforms, whether it's for job seeker groups, HR, executives, what have you. Well, as it happens in this month, January and February, for some reason, I have been asked for 5 different presentations, all of which are kind of revolving around things that have to do with the Great Resignation, the aging workforce, retention strategies. There's all this sort of confluence of things. It's fascinating to me, like all of a sudden I'm getting this flurry. And I'm only mentioning this because I have 2 presentations coming up, one to a group of HR people and one to a group of association executives. And they're both going to be about how to basically recruit in this market, because employers are having such a difficult time recruiting. And they're saying like, wait, there's a Great Resignation. There's all these people on the market. Why can we not find the right people? This is a pervasive problem. Jim, maybe that's what part of why you're on this call. I don't know, but there are a lot of recruiters that are pulling their hair out. They just cannot find the right people. Now, the title of my presentation to both of these groups is Stop Looking for the Unicorn. Okay, because that's actually what people are looking for. They want the unicorn candidate, someone who's been there, done that, has 5 t-shirts and is not a minimal risk. They don't have to train them, Okay. Well, I know what to say for that, right? Because I'm a recruiter and I can explain that. However, what I think they're missing is really looking from a candidate's lens when they are doing their searching, right? Everything is about the employer. Everything is about their business goals and so forth. Nothing wrong with addressing their business goals. They have to do that. But at the same time, they need to start really thinking about what is working and what's not working for candidates. What are your needs? And what I'd like to do, and this is with your permission, and anybody who wants to turn off their video is welcome to do this, but because I'm recording this call, what I was thinking of doing is actually taking either this next segment or maybe snippets of this next segment and actually maybe even playing some of this for one or both of these meetings. And what I'd like to do is ask you guys 2 questions, okay? The first question is, in general, what is important to you in your job search? Not specifically like I'm looking for this kind of job, not that. In general, compensation, remote work, things that have to do just in general with what's priority to your work-life balance, whatever, culture, anything like that. And number 2, what are you expecting from the employer in the search process? And we've actually tackled a couple of these issues today about, suddenly being, canceled for no reason, that kind of thing. But I'd like you to frame it in the positive in both cases. So number 1, what's important to you? And number 2, what are you expecting from? So I expect the employer to ... So we're framing it in the positive. We're not talking about stories and anecdotes now, just in general. And I'd like to compile this. So I might reuse the recording. I might just use my notes. But I want to hear from the peanut gallery here, because you guys are the ones who've been searching, some of you for extended periods, and you know what's working. And even those of you who are gainfully employed now, you remember the job search. Okay. So who would like to start with one or both of those questions? Sonia.
I have to hop off, but I do want to address that this is a perfect time. What was the first question?
First question
again?
is what's important to you in general in your job search? And number two, what are you expecting from an employer in the search process?
What's important to me is the organization itself, the leadership, the culture, to make sure that they are invested in their staff. They like, in essence, if you give to your staff will give back to you. And so that's important to me, to be able to sync up with them on that, because I do that. I respect all employees. I have had organizations where I am the HR leader for 50 people, and I've had it where I'm the HR leader for 2,000. And how you treat your employees is to how your employees are going to respond to you. I know we heard today from Daniel what he got. My heart went out when he was explaining that, because I understand that. So for me, it's the leadership has to be interested in the staff. I work for some companies that have excellent leadership. I worked for a company that had the Jack Welch.
So just to press pause, Sonia. So sorry, because this is great what you're saying. I'd love to hear from everyone. So your main comment is the leadership invested in their staff? Right. That's the main.
Okay. And what I expect from the company is candidate respect. I feel like they don't do that in today's time.
Tell me specifically what you mean by that.
Follow up. You know, you don't, even if you don't want me, I'm fine with that. I mean, everybody's not going to want me, but I do expect you to follow up, close the deal so we can just move on.
Move on. Perfect. Thank you, Sonia. That's very helpful. Who else? And we're just going to go ping around the room just for the sake of time. Who else has a comment?
Well, number one for me is to have the hiring process defined at the beginning, so that I can set expectations of how many people I'm going to need to interview with or whatever. Even if I don't make it to all those stages, I know in advance what those stages are. And I would expect not just a form email. If I've actually talked with someone and interviewed with them, other than the recruiting phone screen, I think that is a phone call that should be made, not just an email.
It'd be a phone call, meaning for the feedback?
Oh, just to say, just wanted to let you know, we really appreciate the time that you took to, interview however many times or whatever, but they are moving forward with other.
Oh, if you're being rejected, you want a phone call, not an email.
But I want to thank you for the time, because obviously each person invests time if they have talked to someone other than the phone screen. They've talked with someone in the company, they've made an investment, so we need to invest back. Secondly, I think that companies need to have transparency around salaries in the first conversation with the recruiter. They need to discuss that, so nobody is having time wasted, not the candidate, not the company, in terms of moving people all the way through the process. Then it turns out you're $30,000 apart, and there's no way to fix that gulf.
Singing my song, girl, preach it. Okay. All right, good. Thank you for that, Joe. All right, who else? Well,
yeah, I was going to say, if are recruiters part of your audience?
Yeah, I'm doing one group is recruiter HR, and then the other group is executives, CEOs.
Okay, especially the independent recruiters. What I find, I guess, frustrating and giving me kind of a negative view of things is when a recruiter will send me something that is not at all in line with what I'm looking for. And, they may have seen a keyword on my resume and built a whole, and assumed the whole job around it. Like if I'm working in the computer industry, I'm talking about tech writing, they have a programmer job for me. It's like, no, this is not, in line with what I'm looking for. So when I get recruiters who do that, or they use LinkedIn they connect with you at LinkedIn and immediately throw an offer at you, or not an offer, a job description at you. I've had that happen a couple times. So yeah, those people get on my naughty list, and they don't get a Christmas card from me.
Is it okay, but is it okay if they say, look, I'm searching for for this kind of role, who do you know? Like just reaching out to you for networking purposes?
Yeah, I mean, they don't indicate that in there.
But if they did, if they specifically said, hey, I'm searching for a such and such role, who do you
Yeah,
know? That would be
that
okay.
would be, if this is not for you. I've had that
Exactly.
happen
If it's not right
before,
for
too.
you, who do you know? That would be okay.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
And what I try to do, depending on the recruiter, I'm going to do this with one of them today, is get back to them and say, okay, no, I'm not suited for this, but do you have anything for
Okay.
this?
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Will. All right, who else? Either what's important to you in your job search or what you're looking for in the search process. Anybody have any thoughts about working remotely, things, compensation, Kimberly?
I would say what's important for me is just a clear sharing of what the culture is in the company, and also to your point, what are the, as far as opportunities to work remotely, is it hybrid? You know, let's talk about that up front, because right now it's really, it's one of those things, it's a key element in people making a decision
That's right.
of what they'd like to do. So, you know, I would say along with the salary conversation, you know, what is the expectation as far as on site opposed to remote or
Yep.
hybrid?
Yep.
And there's people that will make a decision based on that. So I think it's important to have that up front.
Yeah, so just to show you guys, I did, excuse me, I don't know if I shared this with you last time, that I did my first ever LinkedIn poll. Did I tell you about this last week? Yeah, and the question was, how important is working remotely to your job search? Let me just share with you my responses. This is part of a presentation, so you don't have to focus on the left side, but oops. It's this was the results, right? So 49% of people out of 309 responses said that they wanted remote. 41% said non-negotiable, has to be fully remote. And this is what's happening. And only 11% of people said they want to be in the office. And basically, this is something that had been trending now, even pre-pandemic. People have wanted to do this, but nobody felt that they were allowed to ask. And now everybody's like, look, you know, we've been productive for, you know, almost 2 years now. So why are you insisting that we come back in the office? So this is something that I'm preaching to employers. Like, you've got to expand your mindset. Otherwise, you're going to either lose people or you're not going to get them to apply for your jobs if you're insisting on you know, on being in the office. So whole other world right now. All right. Anyone else want to share what's important to you on either side, your job search or the process?
Well, I'm a federal employee, and so a lot of things for us are already presented in the job announcement, the salary, you know, whether it's going to be remote, the location and all of those things. But what I expect from the employer when I'm interviewing, yeah, just to be there. You know, if you say you're going to interview me at 10:30 a.m., just be there at 10:30 a.m.
Yeah. Yep. Do what you say you're going to do. So show up for the interview on time.
I think what a lot of people are saying in terms of, you know, what you expect from the employer is to be treated with respect and treatment professionally
Yep.
throughout the entire job search.
I like that, Vern. Yeah, and even after I do start there, you know, don't treat me like a 2-year-old, you know, clocking my every move or micromanaging me.
Excellent. Okay, one more person. So I am looking at the time.
I'd say I'd be interested, as you know, share a mission of the organization. It's important to me, and what they're, something I can get excited about and passionate about.
Yeah.
But also with the leadership and staff that values you as an employee and doesn't view you as an interchangeable cog that you can just
Ooh.
sort of be dismissed and you know, treated badly. And then I would echo what other people said in terms of the search process, just being treated professionally, communication, responsiveness. I'm not, not expecting miracles, but have the decency to respond to an email at some point, just to take 2 seconds out to respond to an email. Don't leave people hanging for weeks on end after things like that. But
yeah, great. All right, wonderful. All right, so I am looking at the time, and I have another meeting coming up actually right now. So I'm going to have to end a little bit earlier than I normally do. And we'll go ahead and for those who want to stay on the prayer call, we'll do that briefly, and then I'll need to quickly exit stage right. Okay, so we'll end the recording here.